We're going to be talking about the biggest moves that are happening today, which will include this Bitcoin move that will affect the rest of the crypto markets because Bitcoin is the driver of this market. If it pumps, especially through its all-time highs right now, which I'm sure all the traders in the market have its eyes on, at least the traders who know what's going on. And if Bitcoin actually dumps from here, that is still very bad for the altcoins. That's why I think you should be very much paying attention to Bitcoin right now. We're going to be talking about the altcoins in this market later in this video, which will come after the 10-minute mark, which will include TOSHI, the meme coin, Aerodrome, and also give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull that up right now. I always forget, which is Celestia, TIA USD, or TIA USDT. See what's going on in some of these major altcoin markets, their price targets, and their updated setups. So let's get right into it. But we're gonna take a look into the news first and see what's affecting the macro crypto markets and the economy in general. So first, let's go ahead and take a look into this piece of news by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin loses 108K as 14-year-old Bitcoin sparks Satoshi rumors. So I think this is interesting. You should probably give this a read. I mean, I think um, you know a lot of these news headlines are gonna tie some type of story to a movement. And I think this is one of those examples where they're just trying to. I mean, I think it's important to, just know what's going on, but I really don't think this is what's driving the Bitcoin price down right now. And why don't I think that? Because I also see the S&P 500 futures also down, just taking a dip right here. So I think that has more correlation with Bitcoin than the story here. So this is why I really think these writers are just tying a story to whatever movement that they could tie it to in the markets. Let's go ahead and take a look into the next piece here, which is the block. Bitcoin futures volume falls 20% in June, hinting at possible crypto summer slump. Well, I still think that we're still going to have a pretty good crypto summer until I tell you guys I changed my opinion. But right now, Bitcoin still looks like it's trying to break above its all time highs right now. And this is the third time it's actually trying to break above the all time highs. So I think the third time usually has a pretty good chance of it breaking above that resistance. Of course, there's gonna be downside risk as well, and of course, I could be wrong. And these are just my opinions and speculations, not financial advice. None of what I'm saying here in this video is financial advice, of course. But if you actually think about it, cup and handles, right? Usually have 3 tries to break a resistance. Okay, so and of course, Bitcoin is looking at a cup and handle pattern right now on the weekly time frame. Next one here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin to benefit from Trump's big beautiful bill, analysts predict. So I don't really know the details that relate to crypto from Trump's big beautiful bill, but I think if you guys have any insights on that, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. I know today is a big day where he is expected to sign the bill. So let me know if you guys have any insights on what the details are, especially when it relates to crypto. Next piece here, this is by The Block. The daily dormant Bitcoin wallet wakes after 14 years to move billions of dollars in Bitcoin. House GOP declares crypto week and more. I think there's a lot of content in this headline here. If you guys actually want to read this news and maybe put it in the comment section below and summarize it for the rest of us, that'd be good. But I don't really pay attention to that much news. One piece of news, I mean, the news that I do pay attention to are what affects the Federal Reserve probability of rate changes. Okay. And what I'm seeing here, let's just pull that up real quick. This is the CME Watch tool based on today's odds. Um, July's probability of easing is now about 5%. If we actually take a look into September, that has actually dropped a little bit since yesterday. Okay, still at about just almost 70%. So the market's still seeing a probability in favor of a rate cut in September. Okay, so that is what I pay attention to because I think that could really affect the markets. Um, let's take a look into the next one here. This is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin's third flop at 110K puts bulls at risk. Bitcoin price levels to watch. I mean, the tone of this headline is a little bit dramatic. I don't think it's exactly a flop yet. We still have quite a bit of moving averages that are underneath the Bitcoin price action that could be acting as support. So until those moving averages are broken, I wouldn't really call this a flop yet. And I think, just my opinion, that we're still very much have a good chance of breaking the all-time highs, and all seasons are still very much in the cards. All right, let's come back here to the charts here. So I just want to mention that the pieces of news I just read to you guys, I pulled it from TradingView. If you guys don't have TradingView, you guys should definitely check it out and consider it. Because if you guys are trading this market without TradingView, you guys are basically trading this market blind, and I highly don't recommend that. TradingView has plans for under $20 per month, and you guys can pull news. You guys can look at other traders sharing their ideas. And of course, I use it mainly for the charts and their indicators. If you guys sign up using my affiliate link in the description section below, I will earn a commission if you guys sign up, and that supports my channel. And thank you very much. Let's come over here to the Bitcoin charts. I am looking at the hourly chart here because this was a fresh breakout, trying to break above that falling wedge pattern on the daily time frame that's most noticeable. And it looked like we were trying to break out on the hourly time frame. We do have a few hourly candles breaking back into the pattern. I don't think this is too alarming because that breakout that I'm talking about here on this daily time frame, right? What I think it's doing is that it's trying to establish, Bitcoin is trying to establish itself above this pattern on the higher time frames. And in my opinion here, I think the highest time frame that Bitcoin has actually established itself is probably at the 4 hour or 6 hour time frame where we actually see some solid candle closes above the pattern. Okay. And it's trying to work itself above the pattern on some of these higher time frames, like the 12, starting from the 12 hour, right? I don't really consider these previous candles here to be solid patterns, candles above the pattern there. So it's trying to work itself above the pattern on the higher time frames, right? So I see this as a retest. I have actually opened a long leverage position on a altcoin, okay, based on this idea, okay. So that is just what I'm doing, and let's take a look into some moving averages that are acting as support, including the 12-hour 21 SMA, right? That's gonna be coming up next as support is gonna be your daily moving averages. That is something to be watching out for. If it starts breaking these moving averages, then this could very well be a fake out, right? And we may have to invalidate this pattern. But this is basically what I'm looking at. I think we're still looking good for Bitcoin, and that will affect the altcoins. Let's take a look into stock market, which is S&P 500 futures, ES1 exclamation mark. This gives me some confidence on Bitcoin because it has high correlation with Bitcoin, right? They're both risk on assets. And what I'm seeing here is on the weekly time frame, most important was that it actually invalidated a bearish divergence scenario here. Okay, what I'm talking about here is on the weekly time frame. Excuse me for the dog. Okay, excuse me for the dog. My thought here was that on this weekly time frame, right, there was bearish divergence scenario. However, right now it has invalidated this. Okay, we have a weekly high of about 64 on the RSI. However, on the we have actually invalidated that previous high there on the RSI here, which was about 63. Okay, so that's a pretty clear invalidation and showing strength here on the stock markets. Let's go over here to the next one. Okay, we're gonna be talking about the altcoins here. First of all, we're gonna be talking about Toshi. What's going on with Toshi, and is it making a pretty big move here so far? Right now, I've talked about Toshi here, and last time I brought up a falling wedge scenario. Okay, that is very apparent on the daily time frame. Falling wedges tend to break to the upside. Okay, price target for this breakout, adjusted for this breakout point, is going to be about 0.00079. Okay. Now, price targets are estimates only. It could be more, it could be less. Could Toshi actually break above its price target? It could, right? What I usually do is, if it actually reaches that price target and it consolidates, I would chart the consolidation pattern at that price target level and see if I can get any hint on if it has a higher probability of going up or pulling back from there. But this is basically what I'm seeing for Toshi. Actually broke out of this pattern about 2 days ago, trying to stay on top of some of these crucial uh, moving averages, okay, including the daily 200 SMA, the orange line here, currently at about 0.00047. All right, let's go ahead and take a look into Aerodrome. See what's going on in this market. Okay. Right now, it's still trying to break above its daily 200 SMA, which is the orange line there. That's going to be a very important moving average and resistance. Now, Aerodrome has actually broke down from this rising wedge pattern that's probably more noticeable on a lower time frame, like the 12-hour. Okay, that breakdown target for Aero, it's about 67 cents. Will it continue down there? Okay, I think this breakdown is still very, very valid. However, it has formed a falling wedge pattern. Breakout target is going to be about 95 cents. Falling wedges tend to break to the upside, okay? But there's still a chance that it breaks to the downside, a smaller chance. So this is basically what I'm seeing. It's basically at a crossroads. Would it actually break out from here? It does need to reclaim this level of about 87 cents with 12-hour candle closes for me to consider that this breakdown is invalidating. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Celestia. Let me just go back to Aerodrome real quick because I want to zoom out and show you guys a bigger setup here. Aerodrome. Weekly time frame. Okay. Falling wedge pattern. Huge pattern here. It's closer to the middle of the pattern there. Now, price target, if it actually is able to break out of this huge pattern on this weekly time frame, Aerodrome has a price target as of right now is going to be about just right above $4. All right, let's go on to Celestia, see what's going on in here. Weekly time frame, falling wedge pattern, very close to the bottom trend line here. If it actually breaks out, then we have a price target of about $13 Celestia, which is huge because it is a bigger altcoin. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame here. Daily time frame, it looks like it's actually trying to break out, right? Falling wedge, again, very common pattern. Probably the most common pattern that you guys should learn how to chart because it's very effective and simple. Price target out of this pattern here, adjusted for that breakout now, is going to be about $2, just right underneath $2.50. Now, what I think is all of these setups are waiting on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin dumps from here, I think these setups are going to be worth very little. Okay, so very important to be paying attention to Bitcoin right now. So this wraps it up for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next time. But if you guys do want to continue seeing any more of these coins, Toshi, AERO, Celestia, or any other altcoins, make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, letting me know what you guys want to see. I'll pick a request for you guys to do on a daily basis. See you on the next one.